Hello and welcome to this session. This is Professor Farhat, in which we will discuss the two penalty structure for the Affordable Care Act. Now, in order to understand how the penalty applies, you have to understand the Affordable Care Act, and this is exactly what we covered in the prior session. So in the prior session, we covered certain terms that you need to be familiar with in order to understand how the penalty works. ALE, MEC, and MV. ALE, applicable large employer. What makes an employer applicable large employer? What is the minimum essential coverage? And what's the minimum value? Now we will kind of touch upon those topics here, but if you want to know them in depth, you gotta go to the prior session. So the ACA imposes employer penalties. Again, we're talking about employers, the company penalties, through section 4980H. Just the code, because the penalty is going to be 4980HA and 4980HB. Just the code. And those are two distinct penalties triggered by two distinct failures. That's why I have two penalties. Penalty A, I'm going to call them penalty A, or violation A and violation B. And confusing them is the most common mistakes candidate makes. So hopefully we will clarify it and you don't have to make this confusion between the two. So to explain those penalties, I will be using the hotel and emergency exit analogy. Think about or imagine a hotel with 100 rooms, and there are two ways this hotel can violate the fire code. One is there are no emergency exits at all. Every room is at risk. So this is violation A. What do you think? This is a serious violation? Of course, there are no emergency exits in this hotel. The fine here is computed per room minus a small baseline exemption. So what's going to happen here when they charge you the penalty, they're going to say every single room is in violation minus maybe 2-3 rooms minus a baseline exemption. Or we could have violation B in this hotel. We do have exits, but some are blocked or inadequate. What does that mean? It means you do have emergency exits in case a fire occur, but maybe you have boxes, you have the machinery that makes ice blocking those exits. Here, the fine applies only to the rooms that are actually affected. Here, the penalty is more surgical, more direct. Those are the violation A, violation B. Now, I hope you got the picture, the big picture of this. Now, we're going to dive into each single violation separately. Let's go ahead and get started. Before we proceed any further, I have a public announcement about my company, farhatlectures.com.
My AI turns any lecture into a complete study system. You can create summary table, formulas, and example from each lecture. Flashcard builds from the lesson itself. A quiz build on the lesson, and as a bonus, convert any lecture into a portable short audio on the go. So it helps you with the retention. No noise, no generic responses, just clarity based on that specific lecture. Don't just watch, interact, test yourself, and retain the material using Farhat AI. Now go to farhatlectures.com now and see how the AI can help you understand, practice, and retain the material.
Let's start with violation A. It's failure to offer the MEC, the minimum essential coverage. Now, what triggers this violation? Well, this violation is triggered when the applicable large employer did not offer the MEC, the minimum essential coverage, to at least 95% to the full-time employee and their dependent. And this is basically what the MEC is, offering 95%, some sort of a coverage. And notice here, we have to be specific for the penalty to kick in. The penalty to kick in, it's not only 95% are not coverage, and at least one. Notice one of those employees. You could have 1,000 employees and you have no penalty and you don't offer them MEC. But if one of these employees, only one of them, obtain coverage through the health insurance market, simply put, the government coverage, and receive premium tax credit. In other words, receive a subsidy from the government. The government says, hold on a second, this individual supposed to be covered by a minimum essential coverage in this company, and they're not. Therefore, the company as a whole is penalized. Here, what we're looking at is there are no exits in that hotel. But again, the penalty is not triggered until one employee goes to the health insurance marketplace and receive the premium tax credit. Now, what is the premium tax credit? Premium tax credit is the subsidy that the government offers to that employee. Now, how is that premium computed? We have a separate recording for that. The individual, the taxpayer, will guess their future income. They will tell the IRS, and based on that, the IRS will give them some sort of a subsidy, a help to purchase that insurance. That help, they might offer them more or less, but at the end of the year, they will figure it out when they complete their taxes. If you're not familiar with the premium tax credit, you want to be familiar with that. Go to that lesson. But again, you have to know that that employee received some sort of premium tax credit. Now, why both conditions are required? Because ACA is not triggered alone by bureaucratic failures. The government don't care whether you have it or not. The government says, well, one of your employees is coming to me, and that's not acceptable. So if none of the employees don't go to the health insurance marketplace, you don't have to offer minimum essential coverage. You don't have a penalty. So the government financial exposure, the payout tax premium, is what activates the employer penalty, because the government says that's your responsibility. And because you did not give them insurance, although it's one employee, 1 out of 1,000, it doesn't matter. I'm going to penalize you for all your employees. Keep in mind, once again, if no employee seeks or receives a subsidy, no penalty is assessed, even if the employer technically failed the 95% threshold, even if the employer has no coverage for that matter. Now, how do we compute the penalty? The penalty here is stiff. The penalty applies to every full-time employee in the month after subtracting the first 30 full-time employee. Remember, I said out of 1,000, only one employee went to the health market. It does not matter. Now, they allow 30 employee reduction, which is a relief provision, not a reward. It ensures the penalty does not immediately bankrupt smaller employer. That they're trying to be nice, give you kind of an exemption for the first 30. Remember, because you have to, ALE minimum is 50. So basically they will charge you on the first 20. But if you have 1,000, the 30 doesn't really matter. You have to pay for the 970 now. So I'm going to look at the numbers for the year 2025, because if I want to show you the example, I feel bad if I just tell you the theory. But I'm going to tell you these amounts will vary from year to year. But knowing how to compute it, it will make it easier. So the penalty for the year 2025 is $241.67 per month per full-time employee. The annual amount is $2,900 after excluding the first 30 full-time employees. So the formula is something like that. 2,900 times how many total FTE you have. If you know what FTE is, go to the prior session, minus the first 30. They're going to give you a break, or not a break. They're going to overlook the first 30 employees. They're going to be nice to you. Okay, now if you have thousands of employees, who cares? The 30 does not make a difference, but you have 50, it does make a difference. So let's take a look at an example with numbers to see how large, how serious is that violation. Let's assume you have 200 employees. Due to administrative oversight, the company never set up a group health plan. Well, you just kind of forgot about it. In October, 3 employees obtained marketplace coverage, receive premium tax credit. The IRS began enforcement. You don't need 3. You only need how many? 1 employee to go to from the 200, you need 1 of them to go to that marketplace. Now, the company's annual penalty A is 2,900 minus 200 times 200 minus 90, which is 170. Now the company is looking at $500,000 of a penalty because 3 of the employees went to the marketplace. Was this a stiff penalty? Absolutely, that's $500,000. And it's assessed on all 170, 200 minus 30, not just the 3 employees who receive PTC. Why? Because the employer did not offer any sort of a plan. And this is how penalty A works. This is the defining characteristic of the A penalty. Its scope is the entire workforce. Very, very serious, stiff, expensive. Now let's look at section or violation B. This is failure to offer affordable minimum value coverage. How does it work? How is that penalty triggered? Well, the ALE did offer coverage to at least 95% of its full-time employee. Remember, if it doesn't, you have violation A. Now they did, but the coverage was either not affordable or did not provide minimum value, or particular employee did not receive an offer at all. And that employee obtained market coverage and receive a premium tax credit. So what are we talking about here? We're talking about, if we go back to that hotel, we do have emergency exits, but some emergency exits are blocked. Remember, in violation A, we had no emergency exits. Now we do, but maybe for a few rooms, 1 or 2 rooms or 3 rooms, we have something, an old bed in the way, some sort of an inventory closet blocking the exit. This is what we're looking at here. You have, but certain employees cannot afford it or they were not aware of it. Well, violation B is surgical. Surgical means it's not going to be sweeping, where A is sweeping. It fires on per employee per violation basis here. Now you are being surgical. You're not violating, you are not penalizing everyone in the company. You are going to impose the penalty based on per employee per violation basis. So only employees who actually receive the premium tax credit will create a liability. So it doesn't trigger that large liability for all the company. So how does it work? The penalty is, again, those numbers will change, $362.50 per month per full-time employee who receive the premium tax credit. Annualize will be $4,350. Now, only actual full-time employee count for this penalty. Full-time equivalent do not affect the factor in B computation. Keep that in mind. So, Cascade Logistics has 85 full-time employees. It offers a group health plan to all of them. So violation A is out. The plan provides minimum value. However, Danielle was reclassified from part-time to full-time in March, and HR failed to enroll him before the plan's open enrollment deadline. And then purchase coverage through the marketplace and receive PTC for the remaining 10 months of the year. There we go. Now the company is liable under violation A. It offered coverage, but Daniel did not receive it. What's the penalty? It's $362.50 times 10 months. Now, because only one employee received PTC, only one employee generate liability, regardless of the company's 85 persons headcount. So notice the penalty is very much surgical, applies to that employee specifically. Basically, the government saying, we paid for Daniel, it's your responsibility to do so. There's a cap on the penalty. Why violation B can never exceed violation A? And I hope this makes sense, because violation A is a sweeping violation. So if violation B for one reason or another exceeded A would apply. This is an important structural constraint. Violation B penalty for a given month cannot exceed violation A penalty would have been for the same month. And this cap prevents a scenario where an employer that affords some coverage somehow face a larger penalty than an employer that afford none at all. So simply put, because you did offer, we're going to limit you to penalty A if your penalty B is greater than penalty A. Just few common traps and IRS enforcement penalties you need to be familiar with. Trap 1 is, we're a nonprofit, so we are exempt. False. Nonprofit, including charitable entities and religious organizations, are subject to the employer mandate if they meet the ALE threshold. Applicable large employer. It's about the workforce size, not exempt status. Trap 2, the individual mandate went away, so the employer mandate too. Because before we used to have a penalty for individual if they did not have any coverage. These are separate legal provisions. The federal individual shared responsibility payment was reduced to 0. That's the individual, but the employer shared responsibility was not changed, and this is what we talked about here. The employer mandate remains full in force and is subject to the IRS penalty collection, including liens and levies. Trap 3, we offer coverage, so we are safe regardless what the plan covered. No, offering coverage meets the minimum value, or offering coverage that's not affordable still exposes the employer to penalty B. Be careful. If the employee seeks subsidies in the marketplace, then technically it's not affordable. We do not have to offer coverage to part-time workers, so they don't matter. Part-time workers don't trigger coverage obligation individually, but they do count toward the FTE, and this is what we talked about in the prior session, how to convert part-time to FTE. And remember, 30 half-time employees may well cross the 50 FTE threshold, so you have to be aware of that. Counting employees who declined the offer. Well, if an ALE offered compliant coverage and an employee formally declined, that employee does not generate a penalty. The offer itself satisfies the mandate. All you have to do is offer. They don't have to take it. Employers should document declining employees carefully, because if you're audited, you have to show that they did indeed decline the coverage. Let's take a look at this multiple choice question from farhatlectures.com. Willowbrook system has 60 full-time employees. So it's an ALE. It offers a group health plan to all of them that satisfy the minimum value standard. Well, violation A is out. The plan is affordable for most employees, but 2 employees, both full-time, determined that the plan is unaffordable for them and obtain premium tax credit through the marketplace. Which penalty, if any, applies? I already told you penalty A is out because they offer the group health life and that satisfied the minimum value. Therefore, anytime it says A, take it out. Section A is out, Section A is out. So we're left with Section B and C, no penalty because the employer offered coverage to all employees. Or Section B, assessed per employee who received PTC. What do we have here? Do we have a penalty or no penalty? And the answer, yes. It's definitely not penalty A because we have some sort of a group health plan that satisfied the minimum value. Is it A, is it B, or is it D? There is a penalty. And the penalty is Section 4980B, assessed per employee who received PTC. Here the company offered the minimum essential coverage to substantially all, in fact all, to all its employees. However, 2 employees that receive PTC, then we have to pay a penalty for those. And if you want to know the penalty is on an annual basis $4,350 times 2 employees, $8,700 penalty. Therefore, choice D is the incorrect because there is a penalty. We're left with choice B. So choice B, the plan must be affordable and provide the minimum value. Now, if you are looking at this MCQ on Farhat Lectures, you can ask the AI to explain the topic, explain the correct and incorrect answer, and most importantly, create a similar MCQ if you want to practice more. Here's what I can tell you. Whether you are a CPA exam candidate, enrolled agent, accounting student, the best investment you can make is invest in yourself. Good luck and God bless.